Welcome back to Lasting Peace. My name is Abby Kelly. If you don't have any idea what Lasting Peace is about, go back and watch the intro video. It'll tell you a little bit about why I have started doing this video series. Let's jump right in. One of the things that was the hardest to do when it came to recovering from my eating disorder was to admit that I could never go back. And I think that's one of the things that God demands of us in all walks of our life. Once we have chosen Him, once we have chosen to do what He has called us to do, we have to abandon everything else. There's the Old Testament story of Elisha when he was called to take Elijah's place as the prophet to Israel. He had to follow Elijah. He had to leave everything that he had ever known. He was still working on his parents' farm, plowing with the oxen. And when Elijah called and said, "Follow me, you're going to be my subordinate and my apprentice," for lack of a better word, Elisha went and said goodbye to his family. He burned the oxen. He burned the yokes. He burned everything that he had ever worked with and known before and followed Elijah. If you think about the disciples, when Jesus called them, they left their fishing boats. They'd left everything they'd ever known to follow Jesus. I know for myself, when I was struggling with recovery the first 1, 2, 3 times, it was always in the back of my mind that I could go back. If something went wrong in recovery and I started to get too fat or I didn't like what was happening, I always knew how to be a good anorexic and I could always go back. That wasn't helping me at all. There was also the idea that, well, I'll work on this component of recovery, but not that one. I'll go halfway. For example, I will eat more, but I'm not going to quit long distance running. I will work out for less time, but I'm still never going to eat anything more than 200 calories at a time. Bizarre things, but really only going part way and always leaving the door open to go back to what I'd known before, what felt safe, where I felt like I was in control, rather than stepping out into a completely unknown world and having to face the challenges of every day without the backdrop of my eating disorder to cope with things that scared me or made me feel out of control. So the long and the short of what I'm trying to say is, when you are seeking recovery, when you really are done with the eating disorder, the litmus test, I guess, of that is there's no going back. There's no plan B. This is all I can do. I can only eat the next meal. There's no going back. For me, on a very practical level, I had to give up the gym. I didn't have to give up all forms of exercise, but I will never have another gym membership. I will never run another marathon. It actually cost me some friends, because some of the friends that I've known were my running buddies, but that's really all we had in common. And as I let some of that go, I didn't have anything to fellowship with them over or to share. And so there was this tendency or this desire sometimes to hang on to those things, because there were good things about the gym, and there were good things about running, and there was good things about those people and those friendships. But for me, when God called me to do something different with my life, to step away from anorexia and the love affair, the idolatry that I had established around that, there could be no going back. I had to burn the oxen, burn the past bridges. There's no entertaining some of the eating disorder, but not all of it, or some of God's new plan for me, but not all of it. So think on that with me this week. Think about the things that you have said, okay, I am willing to do this for recovery, but not that. Or have you really left the door open to going back? Is that always the plan B, your second option? Make sure that you shut all the doors behind you, that you burn all the bridges, that you leave all the relationships that still linger within the realm of the eating disorder, or that still tolerate it. Because as long as they're an option, as long as you still have some connections to it, It is dangerous. It will catch up with you and it will destroy you. So, for a little follow-up, if you want any homework this week, go and read the story of Elijah and how he commissioned Elisha and Elisha's response to burn everything from his past life and move forward. And then read the story of the disciples. It's found at the beginning of, I know at least in the book of Luke and in Mark, when Jesus calls the disciples. And they had to leave everything. There was no going back. Peter says later on in one of the Gospels, Lord, we've left everything to follow you. That's your only choice. That's the only thing that gives you life. That's the only thing that will bring you lasting peace. Thanks, and see you next time.